Hey guys, Key here from Kegland, talking today about our dump valve assembly and how it goes onto the FermZilla. So it's the same process with the 27 and the other larger sizes that we've got, but I'm going to show you on this small one. So I've basically taken this bad boy out of the box already, as you can see, and I've also put these stainless handles on. Now these handles are sold as a separate part, but I'm going to talk about them later on in the video. Okay, so the first thing to do is to get your spigot and your spigot seal. Now the spigot seal, it can actually, because it's a cone shape like that, it can actually be inverted. So just double check you've got it around the right way. That's probably the first thing I should notice. There has been some talk about actually making a few different designs of spigot seal as well, I should say. But anyway, yeah, so your first, the temptation is probably to put this on and then put that through the neck. However, this becomes slightly larger in diameter. And because the dump valve that we've got is so much bigger on this model, it actually becomes a little bit harder to get in the neck once you've got that seal on. So it's a bit easier, actually, if I just get the seal, drop it in there, get the spigot and put it in there, and the large opening at the top, I can easily get my arm in, and then just put the spigot through the spigot seal once it's inside the container like that, making sure that I leave it flat. Now, the other thing you might want to do, and I should probably mention this is a really good idea, is just get a little bit of lube. And if you lube up the seals, it means your seals are going to last like heaps longer as well. And the thing will seal up a lot easier with using less torque on all the fittings as well. And that makes it easier to get undone later. So yeah, a little bit of lube is going to be your best friend. Yeah, once that spigot's just sitting in there, I'm going to screw this coupling on. Now this coupling, there's not really a need to have it ridiculously tight. That's the first thing I have to mention. This vessel obviously is a pressure vessel. A lot of you guys are going to be using this, under pressure. And for that reason, yeah, the pressure itself will be pushing this spigot down. So yeah, most of the force on the seal will actually be caused by the pressure, not so much this coupling ring. So really this is just to hold it in place to make sure it doesn't spin around. Now when you're putting this coupling ring on, the first thing you need to remember is that it's actually a reverse thread. So notice I'm turning this in the opposite direction to tighten it like so. So that's obviously, different to the actual butterfly dump valve here, which is a correct right-hand thread. So this is a left-hand thread on this bit, and that's the first thing to remember. So I've basically done that up finger tight, as you can see. I really don't have to do it any more than that. You might even notice, actually, when you pressurize the vessel, this will actually push down a little bit and actually become slightly looser. You can actually do it up a little bit more by hand if you want, but really, that's enough. Yeah, next thing you want to do is put on this, the dump valve assembly, or the butterfly valve. So this is the standard right-hand thread, so I'm going to turn it in the clockwise direction. Well, if the tank's upside down, I suppose it's going to be clockwise. And the other thing I should mention here is it has a radial seal. So this one also, you don't have to go ridiculously tight. Because if I look at the seal here, you can see actually that I've got this O-ring on here, like that. So it's a radial sealing O-ring, which that O-ring sits in this internal diameter here. So once that O-ring goes into this internal diameter, it'll just seal, okay? It's not like you're gonna need to, the more you tighten it, it won't improve the sealing performance. So there's no point to go like crazy tight in these fittings, it just makes it harder to get undone later on. Okay, so literally just like that, and that's all you need to do. Now, when you get the FermZilla, you'll notice we include one of these tools here. Now, look, generally you won't be using this to do all the valves up. It's more so if you've accidentally done them too tight and you have to undo them, then use this tool. So yeah, firstly, when you get it, you can use it to undo things like jar lids if you want, or actually use it like an oil filter removal tool. It's pretty handy in the garage or whatever. But the first thing I should mention is when you put the strap in there, the tool operates in this direction. So see the teeth there? The teeth have to be pushing against the rubber strap here. So if I'm undoing it in that direction, it works great. If I want to go in this direction, I've actually got to flip the tool around like that for it to work, yeah? So that's the first thing to mention. Now, in most instances, you're probably not going to need this tool, but if you have accidentally over-tightened the dump valve, and this is something we did notice on the Gen 1 units, that some people did have that difficulty when they accidentally did this one too tight, then they couldn't get it back undone again. So anyway, and now because it's a really large diameter as well, the forces at play are also significant. So if you need to undo the dump valve, yeah, basically just get this guy onto the dump valve like that, get the strap and pull it tight, so take up all the slack in this strap here like so. I'm going to pull that nice and tight like that. And that should allow me to get significantly more torque on here to undo the dump valve like so. Now that's remembering the dump valve is the standard right hand thread. So with the tank upside down, I'm doing this anti-clockwise. Now, the other thing you can do is if you find that it's hard to keep the tank still because you've really tightened it up, you've got a few different options. Firstly, you can actually do it the other way around, and then if you've got no other tools or nobody else to help you, if you've got two people, actually it's a bit easier. But let's say you're just on your own, you have to undo it because you've really over tightened things. One thing you can do is actually use the stand itself. So you can get, if you can see this V-shaped part of the stand like that, you can actually get the handle and interlock it with the stand, then stand on the stand with a couple of feet like so, and then use the tool and rotate the neck of the tank like that, for instance. So I can actually use the tank and stand, and that actually is a little bit more ergonomic. You might find that if you're not a particularly strong person, that actually is a bit easier. The other thing you can do is if you happen to buy a second one of these tools, some people might just prefer to have two tools, because then what you can do is actually put one of the tools around the spigot assembly like this, and then you can have a second tool on the valve and you can torque them against each other, and that's the other way to undo it. Thirdly, I'm going to show you one other solution, and that is to actually interlock these handles. Now these handles are sold separately as an add-on part, but you can actually interlock these handles into the frame as well and do the same thing. So what I can do is actually put the neck of the tank up like this. You'll notice the handles actually can interlock with the body of the frame there like that. So now I can torque the valve up with the tool once again, and basically, that'll hold the entire tank still. The last thing I'm going to mention is, let's say for instance that you've really tightened the hell out of this bad boy, and you find that the entire spigot down here starts rotating. So when you undo this and you want to, basically if you want to remove this from the spigot assembly, and this entire spigot assembly starts rotating, then the good idea is to tighten up this spigot assembly more. So let's say I've got this on here like so. What I can do is tighten this up a bit more. So actually tighten up this spigot assembly here, and that will enable this, that'll hold the spigot nice and tight while I undo the valve itself. The other thing I should mention, I'm going to give you one other little tip. Sorry I'm making this a bit longer, but some of you guys might struggle, and I just want to make sure I put all the little tips in there, is when you pressurize the tank, you can actually, the spigot will push slightly further down into the tank body itself, and that means this spigot will come a little bit looser, and that's a good opportunity to then really tighten up the spigot, so then you can stop the spigot spinning when you get the valve off. Of course, if you do that and you use pressure, so you can tighten the spigot coupling ring up a bit tighter, if you do that, remember to release the pressure just before you take the actual butterfly valve off, because you don't want to be trying to undo this while it's still under pressure. It'll be even harder. Anyway, if you've got any other questions, just send us an email or give us a call. But look, I'm sure once you've done this a couple times, it's really not that complicated, and yeah, you'll work it out. See you guys.